Right. So Leroy right now is saying hello to everybody. This is Leroy Kong. First of all, you can check him out on YouTube. He has some really good videos. Leroy Kong is a fan of DC. So if you're looking for videos with DC characters and a person who is showing all the positives of DC, encyclopedia, somebody who knows DC like that, it's you. Right? He's a genuine DC fan. This is not he's not a Snyder fan alone. He's a DC fan and so on and so on. So we're gonna really talk about this now. Today we're gonna talk about why DC needs to give us a little bit of background and then I'll let him rip on that. And then
It come from several comics, several of them. Zack Snyder is a comic book fan. Yeah,
nice. And then we're also gonna talk
several
about
of them.
very just a pinch of touch. We're gonna talk a little bit about James Gunn and what he's trying to do. I know Leroy doesn't really like to talk about that, but we're gonna talk about it today. And we're
We
also
can
gonna
talk
talk about
about it. James Gunn has failed DC. He failed. James Gunn fails. And then
okay,
you and I are being attacked. People are attacking you because you talk about
what do you think the Snyderverse
yeah.
was?
It's, I'm going to tell you the honest truth. The Snyder versus peak DC live action because Zack Snyder cast the right actors for the roles. And
Right,
and they are not too old now. They can do more. You know what I mean? They should if they
right.
want to reboot, they should do something unique and special and then have a good climax. But they don't do it. Instead they give us the middle fingers, which is
Right.
sad.
So what is the Snyderverse for you? What are the films that make up the Snyderverse? What does that universe look like?
Never start from Man of Steel to Aquaman. Man of Steel to Aquaman. Practically
So
Man
you
of Steel
believe
to Aquaman.
so you believe the Snyderverse was when Zack Snyder was there, or do you think it
Mm.
is the environment in which these movies took place? For example, the Snyderverse is a universe, right? So the
Yeah.
Snyderverse would be wherever these movies took place.
He kept many of what Zack had. He kept many of what Zack had and these clowns cut it out to 2 hours. They get scared and cut it out to 2 hours.
I wouldn't say that Justice League 2017 is part of the Snyderverse, and the reason is
Okay.
because Zack Snyder literally named his Justice League movie Zack Snyder's Justice League, which showed that
Okay.
that's the Snyderverse movie. So I feel like there's a differentiation between Justice League 2017. Now, Aquaman, I'll say this. James Wan was a director. He was one of the original directors with Ben Affleck, Patty Jenkins, Rick Famuyiwa, and Zack Snyder
Yeah.
and Ben Affleck, who were the original team who was supposed to make movies. Now, do I
Yeah.
think that the Aquaman movie that came into theaters was a part of the Snyderverse? In my opinion, no. I think that
Okay.
I think they broke continuity. I mean, James Wan said at least he went home to his father, whereas Joss Whedon's thing, he was going, Justice League began with the mother box inside of Themyscira
Oh.
rattling. And the lady was supposed to say, call the queen. That's where it was supposed to end. No, no. It was supposed to end with
Oh.
something is coming. Sorry. Something is coming. When the lady behind the queen said something is coming, that's where it's
Oh.
supposed to end. So, and Patty
Okay.
Jenkins was supposed to have a simpler ending. It wasn't supposed to be this big set of fight with Ares. So, Patty didn't get away with that. But she got away with No Man's Land scene, which was a great scene.
Yeah.
But having said that, Jeff Johns really changed up Aquaman. Aquaman had a different aesthetic because they moved away from Weta and they did um I think it's Lucas Light and Magic or something like that.
Oh.
So they went with a different thing and they changed the aesthetic of it. Remember the aesthetic of it was kind of darker and green and Aquaman
Yeah.
tried and green and something. So they changed it up and then Aquaman's even his outfit changed up. It looked more like in Aquaman 2, it was like a more of a like almost a t-shirt
Yeah.
pretty close to dry out and stuff. So what by why Aquaman I thought was a tremendous success was the action scenes and also the fact that James Wan has a big fan base as well as Jason Momoa was supporting release the Snyder Cut. I think that was a huge reason why a lot of Snyder fans and a lot of fans in general supported him. You know,
Aquaman was a great movie. I love Aquaman. Great movie. The one.
you know, it was an adventure. It was an adventure movie, but you know, I believe the version that was supposed to come out, which was a big fight with Orm, and it was supposed to be like earth shattering, where Orm's forces come up, like you know, the throne of Atlantis, sort of like that. It was supposed to be more like that, but
Yeah,
yeah. Um.
yeah.
Okay. So you believe the Snyderverse is, or shall we say, the Snyder era was from Man of Steel to Aquaman? Okay, cool.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think it's from Man of Steel to Wonder Woman, and then Zack Snyder's Justice League. You know, that's what I think.
Okay.
And be a huge success, right?
They should still Zack Snyder should they should let Zack Snyder continue his thing. When Zack Snyder left, it goes right down. They made way less money when Zack
Right,
Snyder left. So they should
right.
let that Zack Snyder continue his thing.
Now
The joke is
he left. Remember, Zack Snyder left in 2017 before Justice League. So Justice League and Aquaman, he was gone. He wasn't around.
he was involved with Aquaman. He was involved in Aquaman, one of the producers of Aquaman. He was
He was a
there with
producer
Aquaman.
of Aquaman,
But when
but he
he
really
was
didn't.
involved, Walter Mother did him, but he was involved already involved with Aquaman because he cast Jason Momoa as Aquaman. So he
Of
was
course.
involved with Aquaman. So he and James Bond were working on Aquaman at the time.
Well, it was no. He gave James Gunn free reign. It's kind of like Christopher Nolan gave Zack Snyder free reign, but then
Yeah.
James Wan had to come back to Zack Snyder, and he showed Zack Snyder the film and asked Zack Snyder what he thought about it. Just like how Zack Snyder when he showed Christopher Nolan Man of Steel and asked Christopher Nolan what he thought about it. Well, same with James Wan came to Zack Snyder and asked him, you know, what you thought about this, because Zack Snyder's the
The
guy,
movie is
like you
good.
said, who created the Aquaman character, right? He's the guy that cast Jason
No,
Momoa.
Jason Momoa. He cast Jason Momoa. He cast
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
and Jason Momoa is badass. And I'm not gonna lie,
Jason Momoa.
Aquaman when
Jason
it
Momoa is
began, it
peak
was
Aquaman.
badass. It was
Peak
badass.
Aquaman. Jason Momoa as James Gunn has failed to me.
Okay.
Fail.
Well, going back to the Snyderverse, so you say financially, you think the first six movies made a lot of money. Now we do know that
Yes.
Justice League, the one that you still like, which is cool, it flopped.
Yeah.
You know, it was a box office flop, right?
Yeah, but it was in
It made
it too. It made money along.
it made six
It
hundred
was it,
something million,
yeah.
but
It
remember,
served CTCU movies. Yeah.
yeah, but it cost $300 million to make.
Okay.
So it had to make 750 million to break even. So that's what
Okay.
happened. So that's why it flopped. So it's not
Yes.
surprising that you and me think that Zack Snyder's Justice League is the best DCEU movie. I go as far as to
Yes.
say Zack Snyder's Justice League is Zack Snyder's best movie to date, and I also think it's it's in the top comic book movies of all time.
And it is my all-time greatest movie. It is my top movie over all movie in history. Zack
Over
Snyder's
all
Justice League.
movies?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I don't know if I could go that far, but I would say that when it comes to comic
Well,
book
I go
movies,
that far. And the second best movies is Spider-Man: No Way Home.
yes, you told me that. You told me that.
Right.
I
Yes.
know you're a huge Spider-Man fan, and that must have been the best Spider-Man experience because you saw all the Spider-Man in that movie,
Yeah,
all of them.
especially Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield is my Spider-Man. Andrew
Well, there you
Garfield.
go.
Andrew
So they
Garfield.
redeemed. They finally
Yes.
redeemed them as well. So that must be great,
Yes.
right? So there's no question then that the Snyderverse was lucrative, and it was the most lucrative of the DCEU.
Yeah.
Good. Now that that's established, let's continue with the point. Do you believe that this new DCU that James Gunn is launching, do you think there's a potential for it to earn more money than the Snyderverse did? Yes or no?
No, I doubt it. No,
Why?
I doubt it. Unless they cheat. The
Cheat like
reason
how?
I to be honest,
Mhm.
the fans want Henry Cavill, and that is
Yeah,
a big blow.
we wanted Henry Cavill, and he was coming back, and everybody was so
Yes.
happy.
Yeah.
because now we get to get Superman. Like we want to see
Yeah.
Superman, and it was supposed to be that Superman movie just before Zack Snyder's
Yeah.
Justice League 2. So it really, I mean, I think everybody was just bummed out when we heard
Yeah.
Henry Cavill wasn't coming back. Because Henry Cavill cleared out space to come back and everything. And then he
Yeah.
announced that he's coming back. So
And
everybody was just cheering because the fans wanted to see Henry again as
yeah.
Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tremendous bummer. Okay. So, okay, that bummer is aside. Um, why do you think that this new DCU that's coming on, Creature Commandos is coming up, and then we'll have what do we have after Creature Commandos?
I don't even know. Like some Supergirl
Oh,
or
we have
some crap
Peacemaker
James
that's going to be
Gunn.
running as a series on thing with Creature Commandos, which is supposed to be animated, I believe.
Peacekeeper, what have you, or what have you. Sorry. No,
Right,
this
and
is not
then we're supposed to have
mm-mm.
Amanda Waller story or something on
Yeah.
her,
Yeah.
and then we get Superman right in 2025.
Yeah. 25.
Okay. All right, so let's think about this. Why do you think you already gave one reason, which is that James Gunn pretty much. All right, but
Not
let me ask you
interested.
this. Let me ask you this. Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be a funny film. It's going to be rated R, but it's going to be funny. It kind of will fit into the Marvel
Yeah, yeah, but
mode.
that Deadpool and Wolverine is a different thing. That's how Deadpool is from the comics. That is
Okay.
different from DC.
Right, and
That is
Wolverine's going to
different.
be Wolverine. We clearly could see that
Yeah,
in the trailer. Wolverine's still
yeah.
aggressive like crazy, and he's
But
just himself. Right.
DC does not need to be like Marvel. They do not need to be like Marvel. Zack Snyder get everything right. Zack Snyder do get everything. They should continue what Zack Snyder was doing. They don't need to be. DC is better than Marvel by far. There's no need
So,
for them
so,
to be
so, so
like Marvel.
okay. So here's my question to you because you raised a very important point. Because I'm saying that with Deadpool, it's going to be funny. It's going to be. It's not
And it's going to
necessarily
make
going to be
money.
light. It's probably going to
It,
be dark, but
it's
it's
going
going to
it,
be funny. Right.
yeah, it's
Now,
going
my
to make
question to you,
money.
but the point you made is that's Deadpool.
Yeah, that's Deadpool.
Right.
Deadpool is a jokester.
Do
It's
you
straight up
believe?
original comics.
Do you
Sorry.
believe that James Gunn could pull off Superman?
No, I don't think
What
so.
What makes you believe that?
Because I'm going to be honest with you right now. He's showing his middle finger to us true for not listening to his. It's all about him. He's trying to play, thinking that he's going to save the. It's all about James Gunn, and
Right.
it's not going to work. Sorry, it's not going to.
So let's go into that a little bit. So James Gunn canceled Superman and Lewis, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
because I don't want.
they have my adventures with Superman now.
Yeah,
Um, he
animated.
also right. He also has removed almost every single actor that was in the DCEU. So I don't think
Yeah.
that Levi is coming back as Shazam.
No, they're
I
not
don't
coming back.
think
You
that
remove all the actors
Gal
from the Snyderverse.
right. I don't think that Gal is going to come back as Wonder Woman.
Right?
I don't think Ben is going
No,
to come back as Batman. I don't think Henry's going to come back as Superman.
no. That's
However,
a big blow, big mistake.
Violet Davis is going to be Amanda Waller.
Yes, he
Uh,
keeps his universe. He keeps his part of universe
right.
and get
We're
rid
going to
of
have
everybody.
Peacemaker. We're going
Yeah,
to have we're going to have possibly Blue Beetle still there. The
yeah.
actor who played Blue Beetle is probably going to stay there, which is not really part of
Sorry,
his thing, but he looks like he wants to keep that guy. And
no.
I think that what's it, Rick Flag? I think Rick Flag Senior is now
Yeah,
the new
Rick Flag
guy.
Senior is
That's
there.
the guy from
Yeah,
Marvel that he's
he's in Frank Grillo. He's going to be in Superman Legacy Superman as well. Rick Flag's father.
right.
And he's going to be in
So
Peacemaker. He's going to be Creature Commandos. He's going to be Creature Commandos, crap Creature Commandos. So mm-mm.
okay. So now James Gunn is good.
You know,
You're saying that he's trying to bring his brand into there. Now, my question to you is this: there are two very important points. Do you think that James Gunn is the sort of transiary guy who is going to be able to transition the DC universe into Disney. So Warner Brothers is going to let go of this property or get bought up by Disney, like how 20th Century Fox was bought up by Disney. And you think James Gunn now would be doing this timeline so that he could do the crossover movies with Marvel? Do you think that's the plan?
Maybe, but plan is not going to work. It's not going to work. I don't think it's a good idea for DC to be sold to Disney. I don't think so. It's going to be dead.
I do believe. I
They're
do.
going to turn DC to Marvel. It's not going to work. Sorry, it's
Now,
not going if they do it that way.
right. Here's the point that I think the point you just made there. I can show you how that's based on facts. Fox has been moved over to Disney has bought over 20th Century Fox. Do you remember New Mutants? New Mutants was
Yeah,
a project that was supposed to be the last X-Men project, and that project happened to happen when 20th Century Fox was being bought over by Disney.
Disney.
And that movie suffered majorly. I was so excited to see
Yeah,
that New Mutants because after Logan, we had been introduced to the New Mutants, right?
yeah, yeah.
And so now it was going to be a horror film and everything. And I was like, wow, New Mutants with horror. Oh man, I got to see this. And they destroyed that film. I mean, they
They destroy
chopped
the
it up.
movie.
They
Yeah,
destroyed that film, right? Um, Blade. Blade
made it
was,
in problem.
you know, that Blade was actually a Warner Brothers produced film through New Line Cinema. Blade was produced through New
Okay,
Line Cinema with David Goyer. So the original 1997 Blade, why it was so edgy and everything is because Warner Brothers actually was producing that movie. And
but it
what's it?
wasn't Marvel. It wasn't under Marvel. It was
It
from
was still
Marvel.
with
Yeah,
Marvel, but
yeah,
they didn't have a Marvel Cinematic Universe at the time. So
yeah,
Paramount, for example, started off with Iron Man. It wasn't
yeah,
it wasn't Disney. All right. So the right now that property, Blade, um Disney is having a lot of problems with the production
yeah,
of that movie. All right. So that's point number two. So you have Blade, which has been take Disney has bought over the property, the IP of Blade, and they still don't know how to work that. And they also have the property of what did I say? X-Men, New
hmm,
Mutant, right? The
yeah,
thing about it is with using Deadpool, they may be able to sort of because it's still under Fox, may be able to somehow Netflix. I think Netflix was doing the production
yeah, yeah,
with Marvel. I think distributing it, and that Daredevil is lit, right?
yeah,
Also Netflix was doing what's the other one? It's a couple of them. Um,
yeah.
what's the guy, the black guy with the arm? What's his name?
Luke
Luke
Cage,
Cage.
Poor Man,
Yeah, Luke Cage was good.
and Iron Fist, Poor Man and Iron
And
Fist. Yeah,
Netflix did the Punisher as well.
yeah, Punisher. Yeah, yeah,
And those were great. Those were lit. You know.
yeah.
So Marvel still wants to stay with this kind of dialed back safety first formula, which doesn't work. These when you're gonna do these kinds of movies, when you're gonna
No,
do things like Black Adam, when you're gonna do Harley Quinn, when you're gonna do Joker, these are not PG films. These are rated R.
right.
They're rated R. And you have to go all the way with these things. These are crackers.
Yeah,
You don't go halfway with. You go all the way with those
yeah.
crackers,
So,
right? You can't dial back.
yeah.
So, and the problem with Marvel is that
I'm going to say this. He's not a director. I think Bruce Timm would run DC films good. Bruce Timm, animated
yes,
man.
because definitely.
I think he was the best choice over James Gunn. Bruce Timm should run DC. He and Zack Snyder work well together, but Bruce Timm is the man who should run DC films. Sorry, I don't
That
say
would be
another
good.
director,
Even
but
though he
Bruce
mostly
Timm.
does animation, but yeah,
Yeah,
Bruce Timm don't hold back either. So Bruce
yeah,
Timm and Zack Snyder, they would see eye to eye on that because if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken, Zack Snyder and Bruce Timm worked together on Superman the 75th anniversary, if I'm not mistaken. They
yeah,
both worked
yeah,
together.
yeah,
So Bruce
yeah,
Timm and Zack Snyder would get along just fine. I'm
yeah.
pretty sure. Another person I think would be great for the job would be Jay Oliver. Jay
Jay Oliver.
Oliver
Yeah,
is incredible. When it
great
comes to
artist.
action,
Yeah, yeah,
he is sick. You know, so you have Bruce Timm, you have Jay
Yeah.
Oliver. I think those guys would be great. Um, Todd Phillips thinks something like Zack Snyder, but he's not. Todd Phillips doesn't really. He's not really a comic book guy. Kind of like Christopher
No.
Nolan's not a comic book guy either.
Yeah.
So David Goyer is a comic book guy, for example.
Yeah.
But Bruce Timm is great. Jay Oliver is great. This guy works with everybody. What's his name? DC writer. Jim Lee, great guy
Jim
again.
Lee.
Put a middle finger up at the fans, the DC fans. And then at least he may not know that, but that's what he did. And then secondly, you said that um, he's all about himself, and because he's shutting down all these things just
Yes.
to get himself, it's not going to work. We talked about a crossover, and you said that's not good because you're saying they will run down DC. DC will be dead, 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 dead.
Then
It's
run.
already
Yes.
dead,
That went to work.
but DC's already
Yeah.
dead though.
It's already
And
dead. Dead. Dead.
And the fourth point you
Mhm.
just made, which is very important, is everything in DC is dying. So you have the comics dying right now, you have
Yeah.
the movies dying, and you have Warner Brothers dying because Warner Brothers stock right now as
Yeah.
we speak is $7.40 something.
Yeah.
So it's
I.
dropped dramatically from $12 and something cents to it's
Yeah.
the
To me,
lowest
I'm going to be honest. I think
grossing
Universal will
studio.
be best. Universal will be best. Will be the best company to run DC.
Absolutely, hundred
Universal.
percent. I agree. If they have the money.
Yeah. Universal. Yeah.
Yeah, because see the thing with Zack Snyder is I want to see his movies in theaters. I don't want to see his movies just on a small screen
Yeah.
or on a laptop or on a TV screen. I want to
Yeah.
see
But
it in
but but
theater.
the- these clones do not want that because they know that Zack Snyder is better than all of them. These
Yes, he is.
clones, James Gunn and these clones do not want that. That's the thing
Would you
now.
say though? Would you say that Zack Snyder kind of made the bar impossible to cross because of how high a standard he had with his movies, or do you think
Yeah.
no? You would say that once like with Christopher Nolan, once the directors are talking with each other and having conversations with each other and having continuity, um, directors can do a great job themselves. What would you say?
Yeah. Well, it all depends because the thing is now many of these producers they let their egos get to their head. They understand
Right.
that they do not like Zack Snyder. What's his name? Walter Mara didn't like Zack Snyder. Toby Emmerich and these clown never liked
Toby
Zack
Everett
Snyder.
didn't like Zack Snyder at all.
He didn't
That's
like
for
Zack
sure.
Snyder. You understand? But that's why if Nolan was there, Nolan would keep them away from Zack Snyder. That's why I think that Nolan should have.
Okay.
That's the thing now. But DC better than Marvel, but these clowns loves it up. Zack Snyder was the best thing they had for DC, and
Yeah.
these clowns drove him away.
Well, I think he's going to return somehow. The
Yeah,
only
and
fans that support James Gunn are the fans called the James Gunn fans. They're the
right,
ones supporting James Gunn. Other than that, there's nobody else supporting James Gunn.
and
Even
they are
even
trying.
the James Gunn fans, which is crazy. Like, the suit's just too loose. It's too
Yes, and
frumpy.
and and then they
They're
or they
even
make it look
saying it.
or they make it look Clark Kent look that
And they're saying there's
or
too many lines. And then Clark Kent with the
yeah,
bill muff in front, they defending it by saying,
no,
that's a young people thing. But me
no, they
personally, I'm
make it
like,
look like a
man,
nerd. No, that's not Clark Kent. No, sorry. Mm-mm.
well,
And the thing is, these James Gunn fellow are trying to scare you people like you and I by calling us name, trying to scare us all, but none of
yeah,
them
I think
don't
I
scare
even
me.
saw something circulating among Snyder fans talking about how we shouldn't criticize and be negative and toxic and we have to represent
Yeah,
Zack Snyder and stuff like that. I'm like, no,
I'm
we
not. I'm
should
no
be able to
toxic fan.
honestly speak our minds. We're not being toxic by
Yes,
honestly speaking our minds and
and
saying
they're
this
calling me
is.
toxic and calling me this and calling
Listen,
me that. No.
Tyron Magnus, who is not a Snyder
Yeah,
fan, right? Tyron Magnus is like, it's a piece of trash.
yeah,
He
trash.
straight up said it. And to be honest with you, that's what I think it is too. But I mean, I still try to, I try to, because movies are creations, and I've been involved in the creative process, and did nothing on that kind of scale. So I always try to have some respect. But I'll be honest with you, man. I mean, people trying to talk about Zack Snyder's movies was this that. Oh man, it's like a tremendous gulf between what
Yeah,
Zach does and what James Gunn is doing. Now, I'm not saying that his story won't be good. Maybe his story be all right. You know what I mean? But he got a lot of characters in there, and he packed a lot of things in
I
there.
have
So
no faith in James Gunn. Sorry. And the behavior of these toxic people turns me off. These behavior of these toxic
Of
people
course,
turns me off.
of course.
Sorry.
But what I'm saying is they're fans. So if they're fans of James Gunn, you
Yeah.
take it as okay. They're fans of James Gunn, trying to defend him.
Yeah.
But what I'll say is that a lot of those fans are hoping and praying that James Gunn can do something with that movie. But I think that movie's gonna flop. But anyway,
It's going to
the
flop.
point is what you just did as a DC fan, not as a Snyder fan, but a DC fan, is prove the point that the Snyderverse is absolutely necessary.
Yes.
Absolutely necessary. Because
It's peak DC
Zack
live action. Peak DC live action. Because
and
what Zack's
also the hype. Because, like I said
yeah.
before, we got people who are prominent people out here. We're talking about people like Aries Spears. We're talking about the Russo brothers. We're talking about Bo DeMayo. These people are heaping the praises on Zack Snyder. When America went into Vietnam and started bombing the hell out of the place and killing a whole set of people,
Yeah.
George Lucas did Star Wars based on the Viet Cong's response and stuff. These people, um, they're called former Navy SEALs and former CIA agents and former Mossad. They are the ones that approve these scripts and stuff. Okay. Now
Yeah.
Zach is a dude. He's a humanist. Zach is a humanist. I don't know if he's a Christian or anything like that, but I know he's a
Yes,
humanist.
he's a
So
Christian.
when
Zack
Zach
Snyder
writes
believes
these
in God.
movies,
He
yes.
believes in
So when
God.
Zach, yeah, well, he came up from a Christian background. When Zach writes these movies, he portrays the CIA sometimes in dubious ways. He portrays xenophobia, which a lot of is Muslims actually identify with because they feel like everybody always
Yeah.
hates the Muslims because they feel they're gonna blow up something. Um, and so a lot of the Middle East people, that's why the Sheikh in Saudi Arabia wants Zack Snyder to do the a movie on the UFC with Dana White because
Oh.
Zach won an award in Saudi Arabia for his work
Yes.
in Man of Steel and also Watchmen. So
Yeah.
the you'll find a lot of Islamic people, you'll find a lot of Indians, people from India, love Zach's movies, and then the people in the UK love his movies. There's a UK
Mm-hmm.
is like huge fans in UK. Brazil loves him, you know. So why I'm saying this is because Hollywood, the some of the people who are high up in business in Hollywood are actually Israelis. They have dual citizenship. They're
Oh.
Israeli American people, and they just don't like that Zach opened his mouth. Every time Zach opens his mouth, it's trouble. That's
Yeah.
why Warner Brothers doesn't want Zach to be doing DC because Zach has all these subversive messages about equality and speaking on you know, how we reject people who are not like ourselves. So that's what Superman was about. Superman, why
Yeah.
the world, there was a lot of controversy and all these problems with him, and some people would feel like he was a danger to them. Just like how
And but
xenophobic
he's not.
people feel Muslims are a danger to them, and so on and
But
so on.
he's not a Superman. Not a Superman is not a danger to anybody. He's a hero protecting innocent lives, and he was raised
Right.
by Jonathan and Martha Kent, raised by
But
good
see,
people.
people don't really know who he was. Remember, his secret identity, people didn't know. They didn't know he was Clark Kent. They didn't know he's raised by, the Kents, middle America and stuff like that. They don't know that,
Yeah.
right? So you have to understand, just imagine this alien appears on Earth, right? Looks like us and everything, but he's super strong, super fast, everything, right? He's doing good all over the place, and
Oh.
fortunately for me, I'm in a country where there are Muslims that do their prayer calls right out the road there, and we have Hindus and we have
Yeah.
Christians and we have everybody here, and I'm sure you have everybody in Jamaica as well. So for you, it's not a big
Yeah.
deal. For me, it's not a big deal, but for people like in the States and so on, it's a big deal. You know.
Okay.
So, I say this to say that I think Zack Snyder's films is loaded with a lot of stuff, and for us to be able to get along better with each other. And that's why Zack always says, "Be nice to people, be kind to people," because his daughter died of
Yeah.
suicide. She was under a lot of pressure. Zack was
Yeah,
under a lot of pressure, and
the,
unfortunately, she took her
these
life.
idiots, these toxic people pressure the daughter. They bully
Yeah,
her, and she couldn't take it
she took
anymore.
on what was happening to the father, and I think that's what caused her to die, kill herself. And she was already
Yeah.
suffering with depression and all of that. So it's very sad.
Yeah.
It's very, very sad.
Yeah.
And I'm
And
sure people like,
Zach was really sad. Zach was sad about the whole
yeah, because she's
situation. He was really sad.
very creative. She's a very creative child.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, some of the very creative, most creative people, they're very sensitive, they're very deep, and so they
yeah,
take in things. They start taking on things that the parents might be going through, and they're seeing the suffering, and they're taking it on, and then that affecting her depression and making her go, and she's not speaking
yeah.
about it. So just it is what
But
it is.
you see, with me, it is what it is. But I'm not going to commit. Anybody let me commit suicide. I'm not going to do that. I'm
That's
strong and
good.
I can stand up for my rights and defend myself. And
Right.
none of these idiots don't scare me. Our threats, now bullying, my name calling don't scare me one bit. So I can defend myself and I can handle myself. You know what I mean? I have God
Yes.
on my side.
Exactly.
I learned
Exactly.
one thing: whoever don't like you for whatever reason, go away. Simple as that.
Well, I ended up in a situation where I almost took my life as well. So I was suicidal for a certain period of time because I couldn't
Yeah,
accept the fact that I was doing certain things that I didn't expect myself to ever do. So
yeah,
I've been down that road. I know what it's like. It's a dark place, and
yeah,
it could happen to anybody given the right situations. Anybody,
true.
yeah, I'm telling you, it's just a serious thing.
Yeah.
But I would say that with respect to Zack Snyder, I think that universes they're not
And
going anywhere. I mean, the
the thing is,
last 7 years of
yeah,
famine in the cinemas. Not a single movie. Every single movie
James
flopped.
Gunn. You see,
Come on.
I'm not going to forgive James Gunn because he deliberately sabotaged the DC movies last year and he's the one who caused them to flop. He deliberately sabotaged those movies and caused them to flop. It was him. I blame him. You know
I
what I
would say
mean?
this. I would say this. I don't think he had the capability of making those movies succeed. He wasn't the
Right.
an- he wasn't the answer to that. So and even now, I don't think he's the answer to DC. I try to tell
Right.
people over and over. DC has a specific
Mhm.
audience, and that audience doesn't like that kind of. The majority of the
Right.
audience doesn't like the content that James Gunn provides,
And you know why too? He
and don't like
announced
the
reboot.
direction Warner Brothers is going. They don't
Yeah.
like Marvel. They don't like
He
Marvel.
announced, yeah,
Most
he
of them.
announced reboots at about time and turns off fans. He announced reboot at that and turn off the fans.
The
Sorry.
thing, the thing is, interest of GA plus
You
the
understand?
Snyder fans, right? Because the Snyder fans actually, in a way, represent GA. Because our
Yeah.
taste and what makes us excited is exactly what makes GA excited as well. So I was kind of shocked, and there's zero excitement for the DC, zero excitement for DC right now, zero.
Zero. Because of these clones.
So the only way they're going to jumpstart DC, there's no other way. And there's no other director right now I think could handle this. The reason why there's no other director because they have unfinished business with Zack Snyder, and people are excited to see Zack Snyder stuff. And the longer they take, is the more excited people will be. It's like it's changing. It's not like people's not
You
excited
understand?
anymore, and they're forgetting. It's like people not letting this go. So the moment they say Zack Snyder, in fact, I think they said something about 300, not 300, Watchmen that Zack Snyder was going to do.
What
I don't know,
mean?
it's just a rumor, right? That Zack Snyder was going to be doing a 300 TV series. And literally, I'm not joking, I play you not. The stock
Yeah.
of Warner Brothers jumped up by point 0.6 points. It was
Yeah.
8.2 in the
It's like a
morning. It
prequel
went to
series.
8.6 in the
It's
afternoon.
going to do a prequel 300 TV series, like a prequel series.
Yeah.
300 prequel.
And
Yeah.
once that was said, that changed everything. Warner Brothers stock started to rise again. It was
Yeah.
crazy. It was crazy.
Off totally. And he turns off the fans. And it's a
Thing
shame
about
and disgrace.
thing about it is though, I was never really a tremendous fan of his movies anyway. So
And
I didn't like it.
Aaron
I
Fisher,
don't really.
he get death threat because he's against Aaron Fisher. They call him named and call him this. But Aaron, he doesn't like James Gunn. I don't like James Gunn. He doesn't like James Gunn for a reason. Because he's claimed that James Gunn, when he saved DC, he's telling the truth. But these idiots, toxic people calling him names and that they threatened all his family at one point. Death threat to him and his family at one point. Some
Wow.
toxic people. And
Well,
he get the
truth,
FBI involved in it.
but truth be told, 2025 is right around the corner. It's about a year from now. So we'll know. We'll definitely
Now,
know.
if this movie doesn't it makes less than Man of Steel, it's going to flop. This movie earn at least $1 billion, and it's not going to make
No,
that
it's
money.
not living in $1 billion. It just need to earn like maybe I don't know what this budget is. Whatever its budget is, 2.5 times that is what it needs to make. So whatever its
You
budget
understand?
is, 2.5 times that will be breaking even, and anything above that would be. So it doesn't
And
have
you
to
know
make
what
up
they're
a
going to
billion.
do?
No,
Yeah, they're going to pay the critics to praise this movie. They're going to they're going to pay the
that's a
critics
given.
to praise this movie. Yeah, they're going to do everything to
But
promote this
it doesn't
movie.
make a difference.
You
His
understand?
the last movie that the critics praise, I think, is 80 something percent, well, 90 something percent
Yeah,
flopped.
the
It
Suicide
flopped.
Squad.
Yeah, it flopped.
Sorry.
So it is what it is. I will say, so you gave so many points that it's not funny. Um, and the final point is, like you said, there's no hype. So there's no hype for
No, I'm
DC.
not hyped for it. I tell my
You
friends
only
here not to. I tell my friends here not to see this movie. They thought it was Henry Cavill. I said, no, it's not Henry Cavill. It's a guy named David Corn Sweat. And this guy's an atheist. He doesn't believe in God. He doesn't believe in God at all. This guy who they choose as Superman.
well,
And Superman believes in God. You know what I mean?
I know, I
Sorry.
know. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff, the Amazons, New Gods, all that. So
Yeah, I don't think we need it. We need a nightmare talent. That's like the nightmare talent doesn't necessarily have to occur. Do something special, different from the nightmare
he might
timeline.
do a Final
Something,
Crisis or something like that because
yeah, something different that
he had
rival
Final Crisis like
MCUs.
that.
You know, it doesn't have to kill a bad flick. Just everybody have alive and well. You know what I mean? Something
Well,
unique and special and have good close up.
me,
You know what I mean?
anything Zack Snyder does, I'm there with it. So I don't
You
even care
understand?
what he does, but I just want to make sure I get a good story. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know what he would do because, like I said before, he gave the old story, but it seems as though he's doing something different. So I would be very interested in seeing what it is
But
he comes up
he
with.
wrote around 9 different storyboards. He wrote nine
Yes,
different storyboards.
yes,
But we don't know the other nine. We only know about two, but we don't
yeah,
know the other
exactly.
seven. But one of the storyboard had a happy ending. One of the storyboard include when they were old, 60 years, and it, something happened, they fly off into the sunset. You know, the Kingdom Come storyline in
Right,
that part. Yeah, it
right.
had that when
So
all of them were
we don't
alive.
know what he have up his sleeve, but I just want to see it.
You
We just want to,
understand?
yeah. So that's what I got for you guys today. We talked with the DC fan
Mhm.
Leroy Kong. I am Anderson Phillip, aka Christ I am Disciple. I am a Snyder fan. Like I am a Snyder fan. Now
Thank you for the invite.
I'm also a fan of Todd Phillips. I like his Joker movie, even though it wasn't comic book accurate. And
Yeah.
I like The Dark Knight because of Heath Ledger, so I like that particular version of Christopher Nolan stuff. The other two, not so much. Um,
But I like Jared Leto's Joker. Jared Leto is peak Joker. Jared Leto, peak
Actually,
Joker.
in Zack Snyder's Justice League, I thought he did great, and I wish the part that
Yes.
was cut out. I wish we had that. We had it in black
Yeah.
and white. It wasn't completely completed, but that one where he talked about um keeping the promise, you keep a promise, and he said, which one do you think cried louder, the girl or the boy? Which would be Harley Quinn or Robin? That's kind
Yeah.
of crazy. So I'd like to see
Yeah.
all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what's
Yeah.
interesting? Let me tell you why I like Justice League 2 and why I want to see Batman pull together a team of criminals and heroes and
Yeah.
villains. Because
Legion
that's
of
going to be
Doom. Watch the Legion of Doom and Dark Side. Final battle with
it's
Dark Showdown with
because they
Henry
have to
Cavill
fight Dark
Superman.
Side. So he has to pull together
Yes.
everybody. Like
Yeah.
he want to kill Joker, but he can't kill him because Joker seems to have something on him. Like he has something that Batman needs. So that's
Yeah.
why Joker's there. So it's like, this is
Yeah.
kind of cool. That's why I said, and when Superman appeared in that version, remember, there's many different timelines, and we get to know
Yeah.
what happened with Steppenwolf and Darkseid. We get to know what is the big political issues that go on in Apocalypse, how Darkseid rose to power. We're gonna learn about the Furies and everything. So this movie, like Zack Snyder's Justice League Part Two, involves a lot of stuff in it. It involves
Yeah.
Darkseid background on Darkseid. It involves Superman being in captivity. Remember, this movie ends up on going on there. So that's what I'm saying. I need to see that. I need to see that.
Okay.
Because we're gonna
Okay.
see the Furies. We're gonna see Darkseid's daughter, which is what's her name again?
What's her name? In the comics.
Grail. We're gonna see
Grail.
Grail.
Grail. Yeah.
All right. We're gonna see
I love to
we're
see
gonna
New Gods. Darkseid, some Orion, Mr. Miracle, the
we're
Further
gonna see
People, Big
High
Brother,
Father. We're gonna see High
High
Father. We're gonna
Father,
see
New
Orion.
Gods.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So, bro, it's gonna be crazy.
yeah.
Part two is gonna be crazy. You know, and good part three. I want to see it because I want to know why Darkseid needs the anti-life equation. Is it because he's trying to control High Father and they? That's what he want to do.
He wanted
Because
to
that'd
have
be a
power.
great weapon
Anti-Life
against
Equation
High
give him
Father and they.
power. He want to rule the entire universe, give him more power. The
Right.
Anti-Life Equation give him more powers. That's
Right,
the thing.
because remember, he can't go head to head with High Father and they're more powerful than him. So if he could
Yeah,
get the anti-life equation, he could control all sentient life,
yeah,
including New Genesis.
yeah.
So, I just think, man, it's gonna be so sick to watch that because it's not just about what's happening on Earth. It's a lot more, and I would like
But
to see how the Justice
yeah,
League
but pretty with
actually
James
plays
Gunn
into that.
now, these clones are not going to allow that to happen. These clones are going to let their heads, egos get to their heads, like James Gunn, and continue going in the wrong direction. So they're going to fail. James Gunn is
Right.
already failed. Is when
Your
you
volume went
understand?
down for some reason. I don't know why. What I would say also is let's not forget another thing. Shucks, I just slipped up. Just hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. So I spoke about Dark Side Apocalypse, blah 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 blah. But I want to know how the Justice League actually plays into sabotaging Darkseid because we know they're going to end up on Apocalypse at some point. And
Yeah,
I think that might be in Justice League Part 3 because um they don't have the whole team and then Superman is
yeah.
evil. So and also let's not forget that we have what's his name? The guy who Steppenwolf was talking to.
Um, what's his name? Soon tell you. Um,
In Justice League 2 is going to be like the Empire Strikes Back. So the bad guys win, kind of like. But
yeah.
in Justice League Part 3, they get successful maybe at going back through time. And because of that, now come off the ground, you could forget about all the other ideas.
Yeah.
And if Warner
If
Brothers doesn't
let me
get
tell
bought
you, I
up,
went talk from now. If James Gunn move Superman makes money, nothing you and I can do about it. But
right,
I'm not supporting no James Gunn, not getting my money. Sorry. None of
right.
his DCs. I'll continue to make videos and so forth just for
The
pure
problem
fun.
with James Gunn is he has not been successful with DC. He's been successful with Marvel, but as of now, he's had what 5 flops in a row. He's had the
Yeah.
Suicide Squad flopped. Then he was in charge of Shazam, The Flash, Blue Beetle,
No,
and
not James
Aquaman 2.
Gunn. What's his name? Walter Amada was in charge with Shazam. Walter Amada.
Yeah,
Walter
but
Amada
James
was
Gunn
there.
took over the mantle, so he was supposed to
Yeah.
try to
So he
spruce them up.
deliberately, yeah, but he deliberately sabotaged these movies and caused them to flop by
Well,
announcing
that's not
reboot
good in
and
his interest because if
yeah,
he could have gotten one of
and he
them to
sabotaged,
break
yeah,
even
yeah, and
that
he
would have been good for
sabotaged
him.
Flash. He take out Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck, all of them out of the scene. Sabotage Flash.
Yeah, I know.
He sabotaged Shazam. He sabotaged Blue Beetle. He sabotaged Aquaman because he and James Wan are not see, they're not on speaking terms. James Gunn, they're
The
not,
thing
he and
about
James
it
Wan not
is
on
he's
speaking
actually shooting
terms.
himself in the foot because it's
Right,
harder
the
to
foot, yeah,
come behind flops. It's harder to make your movie succeed coming behind flops.
yeah,
It's just not
yeah.
easy.
And he cut out Ben Affleck out obviously because they were all willing to come back without Zack Snyder and James Gunn loads up everything. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, 123 Info on YouTube. You can also get him on Twitter as Leroy Kong One, as you can get him on Instagram as Leroy Kong. Correct?
And Facebook too.
And Facebook as Leroy Kong.
Yeah.
Check out his stuff. He really is a big DC fan, and we need to go through some DC comics next time because we're supposed to talk about how Zack Snyder's movies are related to DC Comics and what DC Comics. Can you write off a couple DC Comics right now that Man of Steel came from?
Man of Steel, several of them. Man of
Right,
Steel, Superman, Batman, Public Enemy, Superman for all seasons, all of them. Superman, Superman, Batman, Public Enemies, Superman, Batman, the Supergirl saga, only a lot of them. And some of the
right,
Alex Ross Superman storyline came from it too. So Zack
right.
Snyder's a DC fan. And also he also get them from the original Action Comics from the 1930s. Because Superman kills in
That's right. Yeah, because
those
Superman
kill the
he
bad
first started to
guys.
leap. He
Yeah,
was leaping trains and stuff, and then
yeah.
he started to
He
fly.
started to
Yeah,
fly. Yeah.
yeah.
So Zack Snyder is a true DC fan.
There we go.
Yeah,
Certified by a DC fan, ladies and gentlemen, not just a Snyder fan,
yeah,
DC fan. So that's
yeah.
Leroy Kong for you. You can find me on Christ I Am Disciple here on YouTube. You can also find me on AEPGM46 on